What's up YouTube? It's Dennis here from Zeki's Reef, here to give you the very first, the inaugural, the premiere heat check. So it'll give me a little bit of an update on this tank here, but more importantly, as promised, let me show you my sneakers. Pardon my son Teddy sneezing in the background there. So these are the heat that I'm wearing this fortnight. These are the Nike Air Max Tailwind 4s. That nice OG colorway. See, like that nice teal, fluoro green. These shoes are also affectionately known as Jailwinds here in Australia. Do your research on it. I'm not really going to go into the details as to why they're called Jailwinds. But perhaps the name itself would give you a bit of a hint. Now these are a little bit different from the originals. Originals would normally have like a mesh / leather panel throughout. But they're different in the sense that they have this nylon, I think it is. It's very reminiscent of, if you collect sneakers, you probably know the Nike Element 87s, the React Element 87s. They've also got the 55s, which aren't as crafty. It has a similar sort of transparent, I wouldn't say it's completely transparent, I'd say it's translucent. Pretty sure that's what you call it anyways. Mesh, so that way you can sort of restyle the shoe. So if I was to take it off, pardon the grubby sock, I'm not going to show you that. You can sort of see the light through it, right? That allows you to pretty much customize your shoe, the look of it, by changing your socks up. I've worn these with some Mickey D socks, McDonald's socks, with your French fries and all that jazz, and your Big Macs and Ronald McDonald faces and all that jazz, which is pretty cool. They're long socks. I normally only wear them when I'm wearing jeans because you just look like a creep, right? So yeah, these are them. I'll probably get a pair of tie-dyes, Nike tie-dyes. They're really hard to get your hands on here in Australia at times. Sort of add a bit of vibrance to them as well. Yeah, comfy kick. They're great. They're Air Max, so you're not really going to complain about the cushioning. But yeah, let's get into the tank. Now, I think we should probably jump into the sump first. As you can see, I've taken the filter socks out. They're just in the washing machine. I've got to get more 4-inch filter socks. I've got a whole bunch of 7-inch filter socks because of the 7-footer. But 4 inches are on the list, so I'll probably buy them today, actually. Maybe just get like Innovative Marine, I think it is the brand. They have a 10-pack on Amazon. Pretty solid, do the job. And I'll just get a few mesh filter socks from my friends, some water box meshes. I'm sure they're all similar quality anyways. Skimmer's running well. Skimmer's running a little bit high. It's probably because the inlet for where like your Venturi feeds in to the pinwheel, I actually broke that when I was pulling this apart and taking it out of the other tank, and I glued it back together. And it's sealed well, but I don't think it's sealed as well as I'd like. So I'm ordering another piece in through my friend who I bought it off, just to get that replaced. So it's really a waiting game as to when that comes in. Heaters, I replaced the Eheim with, drum roll, another Eheim. It's not too bad. I would rather get a titanium heater, so that's definitely in the works. It's a good interim option. I still run the cheapie. We're in La Nina. It's the middle of summer here in Canberra, Australia. It gets quite hot under El Nino and normal conditions. It's been a bit more humid. It's still sitting around that 24 to 28 degree range. So the ambient temperature in the room is like 23.5 to 24 degrees if I just leave the aircon off, which is what I do downstairs. So I'm not really down here all that often outside of looking at the tank or getting some food. So for me, that guy is going to suffice for just nudging it up to 24.9 is normally what it rests at overnight, and goes between 24.9 to 25.3 throughout the day. The only time I kick the other heater on is if I want to get it up to 25 degrees in about half an hour, which I've done now. It's sitting at 25.4, and then just leave it off for the rest of the day. It's easy. I work from home, so I don't really have those issues. Jam pump doing its thing. The filter socks drew in a bit more water, so I'm just going to let that evaporate away. I do daily water change, so the salinity is stable anyways. I've actually set up the dosing. So I've set up the Reef dose. It is on. I've just got to plumb it in and then calibrate. So I've got my Voss bottles, Vossing it up. If you're a fan of Land Stroop chip, That's on one of his albums from my point of view. Great artist. That's upside down, isn't it? There we go. As far as feeding, let's get onto that now because I'll probably feed McLean, who's come out, and the clownfish. Feed New Life Spectrum Thera A. Great stuff. New Life Spectrum is just good food. There are other brands out there that are great too. Ocean Nutrition is another brand that I've used before. I've also got Aqua Forest Protein Power. Pretty good. I'm going to get some Chromis in here and some Antheus, so this should do the job in feeding the Sunburst Antheus, and whether I go with the Great Barrier Reef or Vanderbilt's Chromis. I'll run with that. I also I juggle between these two brands whenever I get accessibility. This has been sitting for ages because I shut the tank down like a couple of months after I got this, and I rarely ever used it in the old tank. Reef Revolution, Pollock Feast Coral Food. Yeah, it's alright, it's Australian made. It's fairly cost effective. I prefer Reefroids. I don't use as much in this system anyway, so a little goes a long way with Reefroids as well. But yeah, they're all similar. Moving you around a bit, but yeah, it's much of a muchness, right? Nothing too crazy. That's what I'm feeding. Also got your feeding equipment, controllers, yada yada yada. You've seen that all before. As far as equipment up here, I've popped the Nero in. I've popped the 2 Kessels in. They're working. It's great. I'm going to flood it with light. I've got some T5 bulbs ordered in to go in there. I could only get PacSun through my friend's shop, which I don't mind PacSun. PacSun's pretty good. I've got the actinic bulbs and then the pink bulbs, which will sort of work well with the color I've got dialed in here. Tank wise, I've got bits and pieces of burner corals in here, my canaries in a landmine. They're doing quite well so far. A bit of that Hasuda broke off. As you can see, the pulps are starting to encase over it and the flesh is starting to encase over it, so that's pretty good, but Hasuda's pretty hardy. Same thing goes for the blue digis as well. See that one doing well. All those doing well. Forest Fire behind's doing well as the cap. And Acropora is doing pretty good. The tank's in its ugly stage. You can't see it because the blue's washed out and I can't be bothered changing the spectrum, so I'll do that next week. But I figured I'd just cap this off and use the last minute or so to talk about the ugly stage because McLean is hiding in there. Doesn't really want to come out whenever I whip the camera for some reason. And the clownfish is just lurking up in that corner there. I might see if I can chuck something there like a leather coral on a magnetic frag plug and see if he'll sort of treat that as its home, or she'll treat it as its home. Anyways, let's talk about the more important topic. So the ugly stages, right? This tank's going through it. You can't see it, and I will show you it probably in a YouTube short later on, but it's going through its ugly stage. That's going to happen with every single tank. This is the greatest sign of it. You can see all the cyano on it, lurking and jerking, and that's on top of the coralline algae that's growing on this frag rack. I put this into the coral holding system because I was quarantining the fish and the coral in 2 different tanks. The one that's quarantining the corals, I've sort of broken that down. I've just put it in the shed for now. But yeah, it had coralline growing on it, and that took about 2 months for it to fully mature. Well, not mature fully, but get the coralline growing on it. So I expect something similar in this tank. The reason why I figured I'd use this as an opportunity to talk about it and highlight it, and I'll probably spend another couple of minutes on this, is every tank's going to go through an ugly stage. So if you're a newbie watching this video, and I'm sure you might not come across it, I don't know, it's just a bit of a friendly advice. Don't waste your time trying to scrape all that cyano off the rock. Off the glass? Yeah, if it goes on the glass and you see few little spots, there's one there on the other side, which I've just got to get the tonsie out and do when I do my weekly maintenance outside of the filter socks. But ultimately, don't see, like, you see people scrubbing it and sucking it out. It's pointless. You're wasting your energy, and you might even exacerbate the problem. The best thing you can do is just stick to your guns, stick to your basics of water changes, stick to the husbandry as far as just keeping your glass clean. That's always a good habit to have, and just making sure your fish are fed. I think the water changes is probably the biggest thing. Just make sure you've got your water mixed up and you're switching that over more frequently. or at least on your routine. If you're doing a 10% water change every week, stick to the 10% water change and persevere through it. Don't chuck more corals in because you think that that's going to help with the nutrient uptake. Don't pull the rock out and scrub it. Don't scrub the rock in the tank. Just leave it. Have the patience, because this is a game of patience. Reef keeping. There's something that I can pass on, and I'm not a seasoned reef keeper like Jake Adams or Mike Paletto or Sanjay Joshi or Julian Sprung. But with the experience I've had and the tanks that I've had, you're not going to have instant success, right? Your tank's not going to look like Dmitry Tumanov, I think it is. Anyways, it's not going to look like Sanjay Joshi's 500-gallon reef tank. Sanjay Joshi's 500-gallon reef tank didn't look like Sanjay Joshi's 500-gallon reef tank that you see when he first set it up as well. He was patient, he was diligent, and he was just disciplined. And he stuck to taking care of things the way he knew, the way he understood it to be, as far as the community and the understanding, the knowledge that's shared within it, and he has success. So don't think you can just rush this. You see a lot of YouTube channels rushing things. I would admit that this tank rushes things as well, as far as chucking corals in. Take your time with it. Enjoy it, because there are a lot of people that jump in, pump a lot of money into their tanks to make them look good with full acro colonies. They all die within a month, and then they break down that tank and they sell it. They don't persevere through it, first and foremost. But they were so impatient that they set themselves up for failure to begin with. So nothing good ever happens fast in this hobby. You'll hear it from me, you'll hear it from anyone else that is on YouTube, and that's what you'd hope to hear anyways. But I figured I'd just give you that bit of advice. This is an ugly stage, everyone goes through it, I'm going through it. Just stick to it, and be slow and deliberate with when you add fish, something I'll cover in the next heat check next fortnight. Next week will just be a quick pulse check on this tank. But be deliberate with your fish. There's ways to do that and impose that self-discipline on yourself, and I'll talk about that next week. But as you can see, this is Zeki, which is another name for my son Teddy. This is Zeki's Waterbox 100.3 Reef. It's coming along pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not complaining or anything like that. So win-win. But yeah, look, everyone, if you want to have a comment below, any questions or anything, feel free to comment below. I'll check it every so often. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I forgot to say that in my previous videos, but I figured I'd start chucking it in here. I'm still trying to find a nice little tagline to sort of leave you guys on. So I think I'll probably stick with the take it easy, reef easy, be safe. And yeah, happy reefing, guys. All the best. Catch you later. Peace.